He been snatching all y'all kids from y'all. For Donald Trump. He got white people kidnapping y'all.
Who's that dude who was dancing? You know him? Because he didn't have to do his mouth like that. He don't got no pee on Trump. Send him a nomination, would you?
I will vote. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Por Donald Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump.
At this point, the dumbest song in the history of songs and political songs and just stupid move of all time is Latinos, Cubans, Dominicans all singing "I will vote for Donald Trump." How the y'all doing now? Please, you can inbox me. I don't give a what you say. You went against us. You bypassed us, and you said black people did all this stuff for me, all these things, these laws. They fought all these putrid racists and cops and judges and lawyers and racist presidents. They did all that. They fought all those rights for me. And what I did was I came here and voted for white supremacy. So how did your vote for Donald Trump work out for you?
It happened around sunrise.
Now, the whole...
Come on, isn't that crazy? Imagine singing a song for a man, wanting him to become a president. And then the same man that I've been singing for end up deporting your kids, your parents, your husband. This is what is happening to these Cuban Americans. And I have made many videos about the story of Cuban Americans. And today I've been watching a bunch of stories of Cuban Americans who are being deported. And I decided to come back to this story so that we talk about these Cuban Americans again. Stay tuned. And then you tell me what you think, guys. As we're watching, guys, remember the video is for educational purposes. And remember the video so that the video will go viral to more other people are interested in this topic. Let's get into it.
Country is in trouble, yes. But you, I will vote for Donald Trumps. Y'all are the stupidest people that ever walked God's green earth. Now you're getting racially profiled legally. We've been telling you that shit is real, but you didn't believe us. Keep on voting for Donald Trump. Now I can look at you. Now look at you.
Cuban Americans down in Florida who voted overwhelmingly for Trump. You cheered on his tough guy rhetoric, thinking they would never come for you. And you cheered on when you saw Mexicans and Haitians and Hondurans getting kidnapped and deported. And you thought, they're not coming for us. We wear the red MAGA hat. We wave the MAGA flag. And now you look out your windows in Little Havana, Miami, and you see your neighbors getting picked up, getting thrown in vans, getting shipped to who knows where. Maybe next time you'll think a little harder.
Tres Doritos después.
Esto no tiene palabras. Porque todos saben, nosotros somos cubanos. Y venimos a este país en busca de mejorar las vidas. Y desde el día uno que llegó a este país, lo único que ha hecho ha sido trabajar y trabajar y trabajar. Y hacer todas las cosas bien. No tenemos hijos, pero él tiene todas sus familias.
Y ella está legal bien aquí.
The Trump administration is deporting hundreds of Cubans back to Cuba.
Family was loaded into this bus here, right behind me. After immigration court, we're learning it was a family of 4 from Cuba, a man, his wife, and their 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Their attorney says they've been here to prior hearings, immigration hearings, and they were informed this morning that it was a real possibility of
you guys voted against your own interests.
Immigration court. Among those detained, a Cuban man who was meeting with an attorney.
My son had an appointment with an attorney, and they took him without any explanation.
You are basically driving a dagger into the heart of the entire community. Because
most of the Latin community that voted for Trump,
a mother distraught after her 21-year-old son was taken away by ICE. She says he came to the U.S. from Cuba 9 months ago.
When he got out of the car, they called him by his name and they were there waiting for him.
They could have to remain detained for the entirety of those proceedings, and for expedited removal, they will have to be in detention.
They went to their hearing today. Their asylum case was...
I saw that they were taking a man who was outside here with me, and I look and they just took him. I collapsed.
From ICE detention, Lara Gonzalez tells us he remembers hearing Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying this new administration would have the back of the Cuban people. He feels differently now. Ariel Lara Gonzalez is in ICE detention in Texas. Like tens of thousands of others, the Cuban couple entered the U.S. under the Biden administration's parole program. 2 weeks ago, in Miami, Lara Gonzalez went to what he thought would be an interview to apply for residency, but instead, ICE agents took him into custody. His grandmother telling us her biggest fear is he'll be sent back to Cuba, where he is registered as an anti-government activist.
It's blatantly not at all what they said it was.
While he agrees with most of the president's policies, he thought the Trump administration was going to focus solely on deporting criminals. It seems immigration officials, he says, are just trying to meet quotas now.
Buyer's remorse? I don't know. A little bit. I know of one landscaper that lost 9 or 10 of the whole crew he had, and he's just totally out of business all of a sudden.
It's pretty obvious, I would say, that the reason why they were pulled over is because they're Latino men.
Their immigration attorney says it should not have happened because 5 of the 6 have their paperwork in order with pending asylum cases.
Valid work permit, not even close to be expired. And no criminal record, not here, not in Nicaragua.
Losing these 6 men is losing a third of his workers.
We're not able in Key West to just replace people as easily as, say, a big city. It's financially as well as emotionally. It takes a toll. You get to know these guys. You become their friends, just not an employer, but a friend. And you see what happens to their family. It's quite a shock.
¿Qué pensaba que iba a pasar cuando ganó Trump? What did you think was going to happen when Trump won? You're saying you believed the president when he said he was going to deport criminals.
Now, Elena is left behind with her daughter, 7-month-old son, and Ariel's 70-year-old grandmother.
A month ago, I told him to be careful because they're going to pick you up. You look Hispanic. You're covered in tattoos. You're a construction worker. They're going to grab you. And he's like, no, I'm Cuban. I'm protected. They can't take me. I'm legal.
Jose Manuel Allende came here legally from Cuba through the Freedom Flights in the 60s and 70s, which was a large-scale airlift operation that took hundreds of thousands of Cubans seeking to flee the country. He came to America when he was 2 years old. He has an American driver's license and an American Social Security card.
He owns a home currently. He's a small business owner. He has a minor child. He has a child with a disability. He has everything that any of us have, all of us Americans. He owns a car. He has a driver's license. He's not an illegal.
But he does have a criminal record from more than 2 decades ago, and he never got his citizenship.
They came here legally. The government invited them in, and now the government's saying, get out. Why? Why does he have to get out after 58 years?
The fact that he said that he was protected is crazy, but I'm in South Florida, so I already know how the Cubans roll, but you're not protected.
A Cuban mother has been deported from the United States despite being married to a U.S. citizen. And they also have a daughter, and she's only 1 year old. And she was also born in the United States. The woman's name is Haiti Sanchez Tejeda, and it's been confirmed that today in the morning, she arrived on a flight full of other people that were deported into Cuba. Haiti had arrived to the United States about, give or take, 5 years ago. And in those 5 years, she was living in the United States, very free and living life. She had a problem where she couldn't apply for asylum. A lot of people in the comments were saying, how was she here for 5 years? You got to keep in mind, Joe Biden had no problem with immigrants. But now that Donald Trump is in office and he doesn't want no immigrants in the United States, Haiti went to her first meeting for immigration. She went with confidence, but the Donald Trump administration said, hey, They detained her and deported her back to Cuba. And this morning she was put on a flight and arrived in Cuba.
So this Cuban man from where else but Florida just got deported, and not back to Cuba, but to a country in Africa. And by now I'm sure you can guess who he supported. Watch.
The man who immigrated to the U.S. from Cuba when he was 9 is on a hunger strike while in Africa, hoping to get the attention of the man he once supported.
He was very pro-Trump, super Trump supporter. How we go from one moment of me hugging my dad and being with him all the time and just being his little girl, and then to he's just on a different country and just in prison. For what? If he did his time years ago, why is he in prison?
The 58-year-old is one of at least 5 men sent to a maximum security prison in the Kingdom of Eswatini over the summer, a small country in Africa criticized for alleged human rights abuses.
I don't even know what to say to people like him anymore, because you're a super Trump supporter who thought he was going to get a pass with this rap sheet, and now you're on a hunger strike. Hermano, he sent you to Eswatini. He does not give a shit about you. And to all the Latino men out there who are still supporting Trump, I'm going to leave you with these final words from this famous Cuban.
Pero no sé dónde empezar. ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Se te perdió el sentido? ¿Qué tú tienes en la cabeza? No tienes nada metido en la cabeza. Está la cabeza hueca. No tienes nada ahí completamente. Un día de esto lo que te voy a coger como si fuera un pollito. Y te voy a coger el pescuezo y te lo voy a poner aquí y lo voy a hacer.
Thousands of those Cubans filed for political asylum and were granted political asylum, except they went back and visited their homeland of Cuba. Well, the big deal is that when you file for political asylum, you're declaring that your life is in danger in your home country. And by these Cubans going back to Cuba to visit, that means that the entire process of the political asylum was fraud. The application asked for political asylum seekers to give detail of why they can't go back to their country, why their lives are in danger in their homeland. And Cubans gave those statements that their life was in danger if they ever went back to Cuba. So going back to visit Cuba after you've been granted political asylum indicates that these Cubans have been granted political asylum based on false information. Now, it's no secret, Cubans played a huge role on the re-election of Donald Trump. And a lot of them feel let down by this administration because now they're being sent back home. So I'm going to ask all the Latino community, and I will do the same, to please hold a moment of silence for the thousands of Cubans who now are going to be forced to go back to the island.
So anyways, this privileged liberal Latina feminazi who has built a platform on hating men and conservative Latinos thought she ate with that. So what you're telling me is that these Cubans, because of the political arrangement that the United States has with Cuba, were privileged, because it is a privilege, to be able to seek political asylum and came to this country under a legal status of political refugee, but they manipulated the system, lied, broke the law, and now are having to face the consequences of their actions. Let me tell you something. Those type of Cubans are privileged to come to this country. And instead of loving, respecting, giving back, following the laws of this country that had given them a second chance at life, they try then to recreate the life they have back in Cuba, the barrio life, the scamming life to make a buck. And then, because of their degenerate mentality, all they know to do is get their necks full of gold and their hands full of gold, and then go back to Cuba to flaunt to those poor Cubans that are left behind under poverty, misery, hunger, dictatorship, abuse from their own government. They don't care about those people. All they care is about flaunting how they're living now. I've been in this country for 23 years now. My migration story is a little different. I did not come as a political refugee. But I never once in 23 years has set foot back in the island. Not because I don't love it, not because I don't miss it, not because I don't have family there. I still have family there. My father is there, my 2 brothers are there, my younger brother has 2 sons, my nephews that I never met. But I did not leave that island to go back and disrespect the country that had given me a second chance at life, and disobey the laws of the country that has given me a second chance at life. When I was approved to come to this country, I had a choice to make, and that was to renounce my Cuban citizenship. And then this country gave me a citizenship, a new birth certificate. How privileged I am. Something that is denied to hundreds of thousands around the world, not just Cubans. So who am I to disobey the laws of this country and disrespect it? So yes, those of us, like myself, who voted this president, are okay with these people being reprimanded for lying and breaking the laws. And deportation is what they have to face. You love that country so much that you have to go back every 6 months to a year? Then how about you go back permanently?
I mean, look at this guy. He's just moving forward. Hola, buenas. Hey. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, salud. ¿Cómo estás? Cuídate. So yeah, you guys, that is what's going on in Cuba. There's a lot of hunger. There's a demographic collapse. There's a lack of medicine, lack of transport. And people who don't understand the situation, well, solely blame the United States. And the United States certainly has a part into it. For example, there used to be more tourism under Obama, and when there's tourism, there's more money flowing. People were content with Obama, and because the tourism went up, there was cruise ships.
To a lot of people here in my hometown in Miami, the consequences of voting for Donald Trump are going to be a lesson in humility for a lot of y'all. I guarantee you. Over the Thanksgiving break, Papi Tron, the dear leader of Hialeah, announced that he is going to order the immigration authorities of this country, in particular USCIS, to review the green card eligibility of people from 19 countries. Now, he's doing this according to his argument, right? Because of the really unfortunate events that happened in Washington, D.C. recently, where a member of the National Guard was unfortunately killed, allegedly by an Afghan immigrant, right? And he's using that one isolated incident as an excuse to keep persecuting and harassing the migrant community of this country, right? Now, on this list of 19 countries is Venezuela and Cuba, meaning that Trump is planning to order a large-scale review across the country of Cubans and Venezuelans that have green cards right now and at some point have to renew them, and Cubans and Venezuelans that are in the process of applying for one, right? He wants it to be really difficult for people from these 19 countries in particular, including those two, to get a green card and to keep it. Now, these are some of the largest communities here in South Florida, in Miami, and the two groups of Latinos that overwhelmingly voted for him, supported him, and still, to this day, according to what I see every single day out in the streets here in Miami, continue to support him, right? Now, I know what many of you may be thinking, right? What is this guy talking about? Green card holders can't even vote, right? Well, that's true. But many of them, despite the fact that they're still, in between obtaining legal status, morally and scream and yell and support Trump, right? Of these both communities in particular, overwhelming support. And if we're talking about their family members, any of them that are U.S. citizens, 9 times out of 10, they voted for this guy. They still support him. They still go hard for him. And a lot of them, I've even heard them say from their own mouths, yeah, I have a family member, a loved one, a friend that was detained by ICE. And I hate that. It really sucks. It affects me. But if I had to vote for Donald Trump, I would still do so again. Mind you, Donald Trump has stripped humanitarian parole from Cubans and Venezuelans, has stripped TPS from Venezuelan migrants, has made it more difficult for people to apply for asylum and actually get asylum and be able to remain in this country legally. And now he's even wanting to mess with green card applications that make it so you're a permanent resident in the U.S. Bueno, but keep supporting him. He's the best, right? Papi Tron to the end. If you guys don't learn to be humble, to understand the mistakes that you made, it's only going to get worse from here on out. Because your communities are the ones that are suffering. Ironically, the communities that supported him the most.
I absolutely hate Atlanta weather. But let's talk about anti-blackness in the Cuban community. To understand the anti-blackness within the Cuban community, you have to understand how we even got a Cuban community to begin with. And we can thank colonizers for that. Spanish colonizers, to be exact. Because you see, before the Spanish came to Cuba, what we know today as Cuba, there was a large indigenous population of Taino people. But it wasn't just Taino. I know I don't want to botch this name, but I might. There were the Seboni people and also the Guanahatabey people. No, long story short, there were people there on the land of Cuba before the Spaniards decided that they were going to come here, mass murder everyone, and replace them with African slaves. And that's exactly what happened. But what you have to understand is even though they brought African slaves there, they brought slaves there as slaves, not to be members of society. So the only people who were walking around free and controlling shit were the Spaniards, essentially white people. So, you know, after a couple hundred years of that, you can definitely expect there to be a mixing of some bloodlines, mixing of some ethnicities, and that's how we got Cubans. Now, before I keep going, I don't want you to hear this and think, oh, all Cubans are racist. No, Cuba literally houses so many black revolutionaries from the civil rights era, we cannot ignore that. What I'm saying is, anti-blackness runs rampant through their community, though, including the Cubans, not to mention the Cubans in America, which is what this video will be about. But I just wanted to make this disclaimer because I don't want you to think that this is me saying all Cubans are racist. Absolutely not. Cuba has actually been one of the greatest allies as far as the entire Hispanic diaspora. They've been there for us. But it doesn't negate from the fact that they have a bad case of anti-blackness. Let's get back into it. Y'all, I will be speaking at the Juneteenth parade. I'll be speaking from 1:10 to 1:30 or 1:15 to 1:30. But just get there around 1 if you want to see me speak. And it's going to be at the Piedmont Park, June 14th, which is this coming Saturday at, like I said, 1 o'clock. Just get there at 1. I want you to enjoy the festivities. But anyway, let's get back into it. All right, now I'm pretty sure I'd heard the name Fidel Castro. Now, there is a lot of things you could say about Fidel Castro, but the bottom line is that he was a dictator. He did a lot good for his community, but he also did some bad. And this caused a lot of Cubans to flee Cuba. Because, I mean, back home, he was seizing land. He had successfully controlled the media. There was no free speech, food, medicine, and your typical fucking basic goods were becoming scarce.
The story of Cuban Americans is one of the craziest stories that I've ever heard. These folks, they were struggling in Cuba. The communism in Cuba was hard for them. Now, some of them managed to escape Cuba to the USA. And at that time, the USA had conflict with Cuba. So those Cubans who managed to escape to the USA, they were given protection. They were given TPS, temporary protection status. And with the special treatment that was given to Cubans by the US government, these Cubans started thinking that they were special. They started thinking that they were different from other immigrants from Africa, immigrants from Mexico, immigrants from other Latin American countries. Now, being treated differently from other immigrants, they become arrogant. They went to Miami, they built their little Havana there in Miami, they started their businesses. They established the new life in the USA. And the fact that most of these Cubans were the Christian conservatives back home in Cuba, after arriving in the US, most of them started supporting Republican Party. They became Republican supporters as they were Christian conservatives. Now, this kept going on, they kept rising, some of them obtained the US citizenship, and fast forward to 2024 November election. Trump was campaigning to become the president. One of the policies that he was campaigning with was to deport immigrants. Now, these Cubans went ahead and composed a song for Trump. Yeah, they sang a song for him. Are we vote for Donald Trump? Yeah, they kept singing for him as if he is their man who cannot deport them. But they didn't know that they're among the people being targeted. They didn't know that they're among the immigrants that are going to be deported. And that's where they were very wrong. Many black Americans who are active on social medias, they went ahead and warned them. They told them, but you gotta be cautious because the man you're supporting might deport you. And these Cubans said, no, we're protected. We've got TPS, we cannot be deported. We're not like those other immigrants. We're not like Africans. We're not like Haitians. Come on, you guys are immigrants. Now, Trump became the president. These Cubans were shocked. They were shocked after seeing that ICE was targeting them. Cuban families started being separated. Husbands being deported, leaving their wives behind in the USA. Parents being separated from their children. Can you imagine? And these Cubans were shocked. They were shocked. They started saying, no, we didn't expect him to do this. We didn't want him to do this. And the funny thing is that some of these folks were not even deported back to Cuba. You've heard a story of that man who was deported to Eswatini. Eswatini is a country in Africa, South Africa. And he's struggling, begging Trump to save him. No, he cannot save you because you're not an American citizen. You're an immigrant. And Trump is against immigrants. Did he think that he's got a special protection just because he's a Cuban? Another part of the story is how these Cubans thought that they were white. They thought that because they are conservatives and they are always voting right, we gotta be close to whiteness. We are somehow close to whiteness. We're not like those black Americans. They started distancing themselves from black Americans. Started being anti-black. Now they're being shocked. They can't even get support from black Americans. Black Americans are now minding their own businesses. Come on, how can you support somebody who voted against your interest? Some of these folks are begging black Americans to help them. They're begging them to help them in protesting. But black folks, they're minding their businesses. You voted for him now. You're gonna deal with whatever that comes with him. Cubans, did you learn a lesson? Did you learn a lesson from what he did on November 5th? Or are you still being anti-black? I'm just asking my Cuban viewers watching me right now because we're seeing the consequences and it is happening not only to Cubans but even more other Latinos. It's not beneficial to be anti-black. There's no white person who is out there supporting these Cubans. They are on their own. They're struggling on their own. I wish every one of these people would at least learn a lesson because we don't really want to see this happening in 2028. Yeah, we don't want to see it happening. Families being separated, children crying because their parents are being deported. Black Americans, tell me what you think. Do you think that these Cubans deserve support from black community in the USA? Or you gotta leave them and deal with their own consequences? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And that was it for today, guys. Make sure that you tell me what you think about the video down there in the comment section. And also, if you have not yet liked the video, make sure that you click on the like button. Those who have not yet subscribed, make sure that you click on the subscribe button so that you will not miss the next episode. Mr. TA signing off. Ciao.